Umamusume, a game about horse girls, racing, and most importantly, gambling. This is the only gacha game that has ever had me hooked, and there's a good reason for that. Like most gacha games, there's a rank to like everything based on rarity. For the Umas, they can start out either as a 2 stars or a 3 stars. But even if an Uma is a 2 star, she has the ability to have better stats than a 3 star at the end of her career. Another thing that varies in rarity are support cards that support you during your career. They can be either R, SR, or SRR. Now, I'm not a pro at this game, but many people agree that support cards are often more important than Uma itself. And besides the rarity of the cards, they can also be divided by specialties. So we have the speed cards, the stamina cards, power, guts, wit, and then also these PAL cards as well. So today I'm going to try to win a career using only the R cards, which are more common to pull, but not always the best when it comes to perks. Anyway, when building a deck, many people try to have a few speed cards and then they fill it up with other things that they like. So after picking some cards, I decided to level them up, and thanks to an event that happened a few months ago, I could get them all to their max level. After leveling them up, I got to see how their perks increased and how much more useful they were compared to when they were like level 1. And then all the skills had stayed the same. I mainly chose these cards because their skills could help out a lot of different Umas during their career, because at this point I hadn't picked which Uma I would be using. So when I first started this video, the Arima Kinen was the only career scenario that you could pick from. I know that the Unity Cup is a thing, but I'm still trying to figure that out. So we're just gonna go with the Arima Kinen scenario. Now, when it came to picking an Uma, I decided I was gonna pick one that I've never completed the career for and one that is 2 stars. So here's Agnes Tekion, and right here is the Legacy Umas. So technically you can get guest ones, so I have this setting on where I can see the sparks. It just shows you kind of things that you're gonna get like points in. After looking through, I decided to get one guest Uma that increased my speed and stamina, and one of my legacies that increased stamina, power, and guts. Also, when it comes to building a deck for a career, you have to borrow 1 card. And once I saw that there's this Symboli Rudolph card that was a higher level than mine, I decided to go ahead and borrow that. And then I switched out with another speed card that I didn't bother upgrading, so yeah, it changed a bit. Anyway, it is time to start Agnes Tekion's career, and as you can see, there are different areas to train in that boost 2 or more stats. I like to make sure I get plenty of speed training, and with Agnes I decided to also focus on some power and stamina since a lot of her races were either mile or medium, and there was only that one long race, which is the one we're really trying to complete, the Arima Kinen, which is at the very end. And while training in different facilities, the amount of energy an Uma has decreases, so I try to either rest or do some type of recreation if my Uma's mood is low. It was now time to complete the first goal, which is a debut race, and here is Takion's stats. I always skip over the first debut race because I tend to get first place, and after completing a career goal, it shows the future goals and how much training time is given before the next goal has to be completed. So it's back to the grind of training, and thanks to the cards being leveled up, their hint frequency for skills are high, and I unlocked a good number of skills early in Takion's career. There were a few times throughout Takion's training that it was a bit risky,
my leg!
But it's not that bad, especially since you can just go to the infirmary as often as you need throughout the career. Moving on to the next goal of placing top 5 in the Yayoi Sho, the predictions show mostly 1 or 2 circles, meaning that I have a good chance of winning. Ignore the gut stat, I don't really train that often. Before the race started, I decided to buy a hater skill to improve my chances of winning the race. I call these red skills the hater skills because they're all about debuffing other Umas you're racing against. And that's one of the main reasons why I really wanted this Symboli Rudolph card. But funny enough, it was Super Creek that got me my first red skill, which was the Hesitant Pace Chasers. So what this skill does is that it decreases the velocity of pace chasers towards the end of the race, and pace chasers is a very popular style for a lot of different Umas. I didn't plan to have too many hater skills with this Uma, mostly because I already have this evil nature that's alright. Anyway, I ended this race in first and continued completing goals like I would in a normal career run. Having the R cards leveled up really helps with this because as they're training, their friendship's going to build up much quicker compared to if they're like level 1. And whenever you build up their friendship enough, you get these rainbow trainings that give you extra points in the skills that it's based on. When I entered the Kikuka Sho, I was on average a D in every category and the number 1 favorite. I didn't get any skills that specifically procced an early race, and Takiyan has been doing pretty well since, she's in 3rd place as a pace chaser. When the middle of the race struck, she had used her own skill, which is called Introduction to Physiology, which recovers some of the endurance and also increases her speed. Around the same time, she'd used the skill Corner Adept, which helps with making better turns. That skill can be used early race, but it could also be late race depending on where the racetrack's curve is in relation to the finish line. And while seeing her in first using the Hesitant Pace Chaser skill, it looks like everything was going great. But not all Umas are impacted by this debuff, and Manhattan Cafe, who's not a pace chaser, wasn't impacted at all and eventually overtook Takiyan. Despite getting 2nd place, the goal was to just get top 3, so we're still in it. Back to training, and we have this double rainbow one, which is really nice because it's like extra points instead of a skill. It's not as impactful as some like SSR or SR double rainbow trainings that I've had in the past, but this is probably one of the best stats I'm going to get with this playthrough. And a really good thing about this is that I got these double trainings back to back. I then won the next 2 goal races. And something I forgot to mention about the beach trainings is that they just give you more points for stats that you train. So it's always really nice to get rainbow trainings on the beach because that's the biggest bang for your buck. Anyway, it's time for the Tenno Sho, which is the last race before the Arima Kinen. I was looking at the skills I'd already obtained and the ones I had available to purchase with skill points. I got the Shadow Break skill from the Guest Legacy, the Corner Adept skill from My Legacy, Preferred Precision from Symboli Rudolph, and Hesitant Pace Chasers from Super Creek. At this point, I wanted the Pace Chasers straight away from one of the legacies to increase my velocity because it's always nice to have some skills that can increase speed while you're in the middle of a race. For this race, Takiyan was the number 1 favorite to win, which doesn't necessarily mean that she will win the race, like we saw earlier with Manhattan Cafe. For this race, I wouldn't mind Takiyan being in 6th or 7th place because there were 5 front runners, meaning that at least 5 Umas prefer to stay in the front of the pack. With only 4 pace chasers, the skill Hesitant Pace Chasers won't be as beneficial, but it's going to impact somebody's race. Halfway through the race, Takiyan was in 3rd place, which is a really good spot. And in the last spurt, Daiwa Scarlet was not trying to let me pass, but eventually she lost the endurance and could not keep up with that speed. After that race, I had only 3 turns into the Arima Kinen, which I spent mostly doing wit training because wit impacts how skills were procced and how your Uma uses their energy. Before the race, I got the skill Pace Chaser straight away, and the predictions didn't look the best since Takiyan's stamina isn't the highest, and this is a long distance race. I was also the number 7 favorite, with Manhattan Cafe being the number 1 favorite. And there were 5 pace chasers and 2 frontrunners. I will say, being the number 7 favorite is typical for me no matter what guards I use or the stats that I have at this point. I think it has something to do with the number of fans you have. Not too sure. In terms of fans, during a career you can do these optional races to increase how many fans you have. It also can increase skill points and sometimes even some of the skills, but I don't do them too often because I'm not sure what races are actually beneficial. So starting off, we can see the 2 front runners and Agnes isn't in the worst position. She ended up turning on the outer corner, meaning she ran a bit extra compared to the Uma that's closer towards the center. As I said earlier, my early race tends to proc little to no skills. Being in the 6th to 8th range isn't bad for a long race, especially since Takion's ability recovers endurance, which will help with conserving energy for the late race. It also isn't the worst that she's running on the outside because at least she can avoid being boxed in, which is one of the worst things to see happen to your Uma. Anyway, the halfway mark happened and Takion used her ability, and this time the other Umas start to use theirs as well. So I know I gotta be careful with Symboli Rudolph because if she passes 3 Umas towards the end of the race, she can get this big boost. And then there's also Gold Ship and Manhattan Cafe in the back that tend to start accelerating really fast around this time. Turning the corner and using corner depth and hesitant pace chasers was a really big brain of Takion, and it looks like it ended up blocking Manhattan Cafe in the back due to all the slowed down Umas. Takion was first in the final stretch, but Umas such as Super Creek, TM Opera O, and Gold Ship were a problem. And when this dueling pops up, it means that the Umas are battling for position, and this is determined by the gut skill. Ignore the gut stat, I don't really train that often. I honestly think that I probably lost a duel to TM Opera O, but having the pace chaser straightaways gave me just enough of a boost to barely finish in first. So yippee, I won by like a nose. So I had completed Takion's goals using only the R cards, but I still had the Ura finale to win. And you only get 1 turn between each race, so I decided to rest this time so I can train other times between races. Anyway, if you do pretty well in Arima Kinen, the Ura finale isn't too bad, mostly because the Ura finale is based on your Uma's preferred distance, so in Takion's case, she had these medium races, and I didn't have to worry too much about training stamina. So it was time for the Ura finale, and the only extra skill I purchased since Arima Kinen is Pace Chaser Stabby, which I got from Symboli Rudolph. And Takion was the number 7 favorite, and you remember when I said how horrible it is to get boxed in? Yeah, this race ended up very bad, but I was able to use the "it was just a dream" item that lets you redo races. You're able to use the alarm clock up to 3 times, and I definitely used it because I was very close to the goal. So yeah, this right here is the real race. The last one, that was just a bad dream that Takion had. And yeah, you could tell it's the real one because you see the text. I didn't skip through it this time. Anyway, Takion may have still been the number 7 favorite, but the results tend to end a little differently after you use the alarm clock. I know the alarm clock can improve an Uma's mood, so if your Uma lost while in a bad mood after you do the alarm clock, then it can be like in a great mood. It mostly lets you just roll the dice again. So maybe your Uma will perform differently by procting skills and running slightly different, and that can help you win. Sometimes you end up losing even worse than the first time. Takion definitely started in a better position compared to the last time, and while watching I was like, she shouldn't get boxed in again. Halfway through the race, one of her stamina skills procted, and after a while so did her skill as well. The corner of depth into Shadow Break also increased her velocity a whole lot, and she was able to leave the front runners behind. And after triggering Pace Chaser straightaways, it looked very different compared to the last time you ran this race. So after completing the Ura finale, you get rewarded with a bunch of points that go into different little stats, and you also get these skill points. Takion ended up as a B rank, which I think it has something to do with like skills and support card usage or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, these are her final stats and skills. And the only time she got in second in the goal races was either Manhattan Cafe or I think Manhattan Cafe. I don't really remember that race. But in the end, she won the Ura finale in first place, which was kind of the goal. So we'll let her celebrate this victory. Thanks everyone for watching, and if you have any Umamusume challenges that you'd like to see me do, comment them down below, and until next time, see you all later.